how's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're doing very, very well. Couple of things I wanted to bring up. Really, one main thing. Oh man, I don't really want to stop at a stoplight right now, but I'm going to. So, main thing I wanted to bring up is how language is used against us. I'm sure I've touched on this in other videos, but it's done every day in very little ways, such as, you know, calling it driving instead of traveling, and then, you know, associating fees and responsibilities with that action, when in reality it's the exact same action as traveling. It's just done in a different manner. Yet they say that, because you use four wheels and a combustion engine, it's now driving. That's bullshit, dude. You've been compromised by your lack of understanding in the language that you use. Another one, just off the cuff, is arrest versus detainment. When a cop will often say, oh, you're just being detained, you're not under arrest. That's a fucking lie. What is the difference? See, they have separated it in your mind the second they contrast the two, but it's the exact same thing. And that's how easily people are manipulated by language. It's really it's really important rather, to keep an eye on what words are being used. I choose every word that I write incredibly carefully because I think that they matter. Using synonyms, for instance, don't always mean the same thing. They might have the same innate meaning, but the same meaning in context could be vastly different. I wish I had a good example right now, but the best ones I have are the aforementioned. But especially really, the government, all they do is use euphemisms in order to detach you from ownership of your rights, because they end up calling them something else, and they differentiate your rights from what they want to be privileges, and you just go along with it because you just don't know your language. And that is always the first step in brainwashing people. Why do you think people weren't allowed to read the Bible? Why do you think that Mass was only said in Latin? They wanted it easily controlled, just like they do with, basically the holy book that is the United States Penal Codes. You worship that. How is it you worship that more than you worship the Bible? I guarantee it. I guarantee. You go out and pay your due because you're a good little citizen, and that's what you've been told to do. And you'll do that before you'll follow the Bible. What I mean by that is, if a law tells you to do one thing, yet your religion tells you to do another, you'll gladly follow the law of man over the law of your God. And I know that with certainty, because I know with certainty that there are laws which violate your holy book. For instance, murder. Yet, how many of your tax dollars go to, I'm not going to ramble on this for long, but how many of your tax dollars go to murdering people? I'd say a good 2/3 of them. You know, in one way or another, they're going to murder people. That is what they do. And you essentially put out a hit on whatever innocent life is to be taken by the politicians you support. And that's basically my last video. Or the previous video, I should say. There's another one, last versus previous. That's a good example. Last video. That's my last video. Well, that could mean two different things. It could be my final video or my previous one. And simply insinuating sorry about that. Simply insinuating that it's one way versus the other without even actually stating with certainty is how you get your mind swayed. See, I could have said, well, this is going to be my last video, blah, blah, blah. Or no, I could have said, well, that was my last video, and then stopped. And you wouldn't have known without context whether I meant my previous video or my final video. And so what they do is they leak little bits of context for you to jump to your own conclusions. And so they tell you the truth, but they insinuate a lie. And they do that by manipulating your language and your understanding of language. And I know I'm being repetitive on this, but I need you to understand. God, common sense gun control. Okay, shall not be infringed. Well, they don't consider common sense gun control to be an infringement, yet the word infringement in context directly relates to control. And so you can't have common sense gun control without an infringement, yet they say it's not. And in the same breath, these demons, they say, oh, well, I'm very pro Second Amendment. Well, no, you're not, okay? Let's get one thing straight. For all of those who have eyes to see and who aren't so fluoridated that you can't even think for yourself, okay? Let's get one thing straight. You're not pro Second Amendment. You're anti-Second Amendment. Anybody who says, I want to control your access to your choice of self-defense tools, anybody who says that is not pro Second Amendment. And I will go so far as to say, that even background checks and the likes are too far. They are too far. Because what have they done? They have demonized this tool, which could, in all instances that are being promoted on television, this tool could be used to stop those events from happening. And yet that tool that could be used to stop these mass events from happening has been demonized. Just by using words, they got you to control your own guns and how you feel about them. Okay, and that leads me to my next point. They prey on your emotions. When you are using your emotions to make choices, you are making an improper choice. Because choices need to be, I'll redact that and I'll say, or not redact. So I'll amend that to say, you need to use emotions as well as logic, because some choices, yes, do need to be weighed emotionally. What's the best thing for children? Blah, blah, blah. You need to weigh that emotionally. But you need to balance it with logic. And let's just say that emotion is more dense. And so you need to balance it with a greater amount of logic to make up for that weight discrepancy. I don't know, I'm rambling. It's been a really long day. It's been a really long week, actually. I wish I had more time to make these videos. There is no lesser evil. There is only one entity, and it is the corporation that is the United States government. Okay, and so as many times as we argue every 4 years which controller is best, God, is it not tiring to you? Do you not get sick of never seeing something change in your favor? I'm just so tired of watching it, and I don't even participate, but I'm tired of watching it because I'm tired of seeing the same cycle where people get so amped up for stuff that most of us know is never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I don't like seeing it. It makes me really uncomfortable because there's something about the way that people act, especially this time, that is just out of hand. God, they just believe anything. Something that I haven't really taken time to talk about, which I guess now is the time, is that ketchup packet gunshot that happened in Pennsylvania. I think it was Pennsylvania, wasn't it? With Donald. How many of you, either pro-Donald Trump, anti-Donald Trump, doesn't matter how you feel about Donald Trump because your emotions on the subject don't matter. How many of you actually believe that was real? I'd assume it's probably at least 88%. Dude, that was the fakest thing. Okay, the guy was literally part of WWF or WWE, whatever it is. Literal fake sports, okay? And he has no damage to his ear. God, the amount of people that I see sticking up for this and trying to defend it while grasping at straws, it's frightening. It's not frightening. It's not depressing. It's not even discouraging. It's surreal. I can't wrap my brain around people's inability to see reality and to see truth. I can't understand it. Then it's tough to watch people that I care for arguing over this stuff. Like, first of all, like it matters. Second of all, like it's real. You know, I got half of my family arguing over whether it was a CIA plant, and another half just saying it's a lone gunman. Well, there's a third option, that it didn't even happen the way it was purported. And that's most things that you see on television or that you see, on your screen. And yeah, you should apply that same logic to everything you hear me say too. Go check it out. But I guarantee you that it rings true with your conscience. And that's the other thing. Besides logic and emotion, you need to measure it with your conscience. And that's what has just been stripped. It's just been stripped away from society. People don't have time to even use their conscience anymore. They react to such heinous event or goings on, like the unabashed murder of infants, unborn infants, or unborn babies, the unabashed murder thereof. People just act as though, it's math. It's something totally detached from reality. And those are the things you should weigh against your conscience, dude. Is it good? Is it right to take a life just because that life is inconvenient to you? Maybe you should start thinking before that and think logically before that. If I can't support this life, and my choices are either support this life, go through the pregnancy, and give it up for adoption, or end this pregnancy, and I'm going to land on the latter, maybe I shouldn't engage in the act which causes that. Dude, I'm all over the place tonight. Pardon me. But, okay, so why is that option never on the table? It's always pro-choice and they are pro-life. Well, I'm neither. I'm for abolition. But see, here's another false dichotomy, You either got pro-choice or pro-life. What about let's teach people morals and ethics again so that they don't put themselves in a situation to even have to make that choice. Granted, there will always be some. And that's the bad argument faith that I always hear. Well, you'll never be able to stop it. No, I know. But I can make an effect. I can make an effect, and we can make an effect. But we're told there's no point because that's just the way it is. And that follows true on every topic, from needing a license to do something you have a right to do. Oh, well, that's just the way it is. To giving up almost half of your income, that's not half of your income. Okay, what is that half of your income? It's hours of your life that you are never getting back. And play that out over 30 years, it's years of your life that you're never getting back, that are taken from you before you even see the value thereof. But, that's just the way it is, right? That's just the way it is. That is, oh man, am I going to have 2 videos called pathetic? Because that is a really pathetic outlook. That is the outlook of a slave and of a broken soul. And what causes that? Let's bring it full circle. It's the subtle and malicious manipulation of your language, of your understanding of your surroundings, and of your sovereignty. And it's been studied for a century, far more than a century, but it's been implemented over the last century by the Freud family. So you got Sigmund Freud, who was an absolute freak, and then you got his nephew, Edward Bernays, who is the father of all the propaganda that you fall victim to these days. And how many people have never even heard his name? Never heard his name, and just look at Freud as basically the guy who invented the Freudian slip. People don't know how operated on their psyche and their minds have been over the last century or more. And it's had a cumulative effect generationally, because then what one generation is brainwashed into believing or into disbelieving, then that generation goes and teaches it to their children as though it's truth. And that becomes the social truth, the social norm. And then they're at a plateau, those who manipulate. And then they just need to manipulate a little more. So, you say, well, how could it be this grand conspiracy? It does not need to be. It is step-by-step manipulation. It's incrementalism. And they make it so imperceptible by, oops. There we go. They make it so imperceptible through the generations that it just becomes the happy, steady state of equilibrium. And you can't tell the change until you look back and see old photographs and read books of how people used to live. And that's when you see how much it changed, and you look back and you say, when did that happen? It always was. Always was. And that's why there's always a reset. And I really am all over the place. But that kind of gradual erosion on rights and humanity can only go on for so long before the people start catching on. And when the people catch on, there is an inevitable reset of the society, because it becomes critical mass, and a lower number of people start believing the status quo than disbelieving it, and the status quo shifts. However, that is the moment, you can't see it really, I'm sure, but that is the moment right here up at the top when the snake devours its tail, and it starts that cycle over again. And we are on the precipice of that. So, what do? We keep doing this. We keep talking. We keep showing people through our actions and through our lives and through our fearlessness that they don't have to live the way they live, because I'm pretty sure, and I can't guarantee this, but I'm pretty sure most people can tell that there's issues. And I'm pretty sure that's why everybody's arguing with one another. It's because they know that there's something wrong, but they are manipulated into thinking it's something else. It's someone else. It's this, or it's that, or it's the other. It's always something else. What it really is the system that's telling him what it is. That was a redundant sentence, wasn't it? But it is the very system that is telling them what to hate, that they should hate. And I have noticed over the last, few months, that it's really not hard to show people that. You don't tell them. You can't tell them because they'll start sticking up for it. You got to show them. And maybe we'll start discussing that. I don't have time tonight, and I want to think about that and get some notes together. And I'm almost home. So I hope this is of some value to some people somewhere. Know that you're not alone, and if you are on the precipice of backing off of, the system, just do it. It needs you. You do not need it. You will be better off for it. It's vampiric, it's unholy, and it's stealing our humanity, and it's time to bring it around again. It's time to devour that tail. It really is. And I think it's going to happen regardless of what actual effort is made to do so, because I don't think it can exist under its own weight anymore. All right, well, I gotta go. Have a fantastic night. Thanks all for watching.